3 North Addison. The property is on schedule to open in March of 2021, at which time it will offer an equal amount of studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom apartments. New industrial. With distribution centers, medical technology, operation spaces leading the charge. While Elmhurst business parks continue to maintain a low vacancy rate, our location remains highly desirable, with many businesses looking to relocate, expand, or build their brand within Elmhurst. Elmhurst Olmec MasterCar is currently scheduled to do an over $40 million investment in their facility, adding an additional 500,000 square feet. And Christopher Glass and Aluminum at 832 Industrial is likewise poised to begin a $3 million addition to their facility. Chicago Fire and Water, Haskris, and Closet Works are likewise reinvesting in their facilities. Pictured here is the progress on the new industrial spec building at 955 North Weigel Drive. This 175,000 plus square foot facility features 36-foot clear ceilings, up to 53 exterior docks, and is divisible into 30,000 square foot units. Multiple Properties, owners of the former Patton Tractor site at 625 to 635 West Lake Street, are currently traversing the Elmhurst PUD and zoning process to build 2 spec buildings. Building 1, as seen in a rendering here, proposes 174,000 plus square feet of space, perfect for a potential headquarters, while Building 2 introduces an additional 256,770 square feet of highly sought-after modern industrial into the Elmhurst marketplace. New office. New office users continue to find a home throughout Elmhurst and our existing business areas. Pictured here is Adapt Chiropractic, which opened last December at 477 South Spring. Joining them down the block just today is a new Farmers Insurance office at 553 Spring. In the downtown, a new State Farm office is coming to 113 Adele. Celebrity Home Loans opened at 105 South York. The City Center moved their offices to a larger, more visible location at 109 West 1st Street over this past weekend. And Kozar Law offices are in process of renovating their new home at 126 South York, including a new facade. Along North York, more facade work is underway as both the owners of the Arcadian Building at 880 North York and FSR Wealth Management Strategies at 444 North York are currently reinvesting in their office buildings. In the case of the Arcadian Building, this includes a total ADA upgrade and the addition of an elevator. This is great accessibility improvements, which will offer versatility for them as they search for future tenants. A new medical import business, ComMed, opened their offices at 300 Westlake earlier this fall as well. New services. The personal care service category is one which is blossoming right now in Elmhurst. McCard Barbershop, 102 West 2nd, opened right before the start of the shutdowns in March. This is the 3rd location for former MMA fighter and WAKO kickboxing champion Steven, who runs his McCard Barbershops and the McCard line of grooming products with the tenacity of a fighter. Salonithemia came into new ownership in 2020 and moved down the street to 210 North York. The Beauty Lounge recently blended with Judith B. Salon, moving into a 2nd floor space at 263 North York. New service providers are also opening in the community. Gem Med Spa opened their 2nd Chicagoland area spa at 210 North York this past summer. Also opening their 2nd location in the Chicagoland area is Zazu Salon at 191 North York, and their new neighbor, Sola Salon Studios at 187 North York. Both salons plan to open in the coming weeks, creating a full personal care service corridor just south of City Hall. Featured in the picture here is High Voltage Hair Society at 111 East 1st Street. High Voltage specializes in matching a customer's hair to their unique personalities. They plan to be open within the next 2 weeks. Elmhurst is also fortunate to have had new retail come online during this time. New retails include, but are not limited to, Sweets for You Popcorn, which shares space seasonally with Tropical Snow Cones, back for their 2nd season in Elmhurst at 122 North York, offering freshly popped daily popcorn in a multitude of flavors Gift tins and corporate ordering also available. Cast Fragrances, a designer perfume shop, recently opened up at 261 North York. Mariano's is working through the zoning process to add a new Mariano's branded gas station at the northeast corner of Crestview in York. And Edie Boutique, pictured here, opened their 9th location at 129 North York Street in July after trying to find a location in Elmhurst for over 3 years. This popular women's boutique made significant investments in their Elmhurst location, including a brand new HVAC system. Edie offers customers on-trend looks without being too trendy and features jewelry, handbags, shoes, and clothing. New dining. Several new restaurant ventures are happening with Elmhurst despite COVID. Primos Locos is a company pictured here that we've been working with since December. Primos Locos opened this summer at 122 South York. Full of flavor and personality, Primos Locos offers authentic Mexican fare, unique cocktails, and a beautiful outdoor garden, as well as family-friendly indoor dining complete with open-air windows. Now open is Guac and Tacos' expanded, family-run, authentic taqueria with the addition of a second location in Elmhurst at 522 West North Avenue. The new location offers extended seating both indoors and outside in their ample dining pavilion. Earlier this summer, Guac and Tacos added liquor service to both Elmhurst locations and replaced their windows downtown with a window wall at their 116 South York Road location, which now features retractable open-air windows. Lariano's, which opened only a week ago at 426 North York, has a mission to offer fresh, creative, and simply great food. They offer tavern-style thin-crust pizza and Detroit-style pizzas, as well as appetizers, Italian beef, sub-sandwiches, pastas, and salads. Coming soon, from the owner-operators of Chicago's popular Joy Yi, pictured here is Ming Chef, which will open in the former Rainbow restaurant space at 233 North York this fall. They will offer diners a choice between dozens of dishes ranging from the most traditional Asian favorites to innovative new twists on classic recipes. Effigy Salon at 112 West Park has leased a portion of the former Flight 112 space, which will now only allow them to expand both their salon offerings, but also create a new cocktail lounge complete with small plate offerings. Waffle Iron, a Millie's Pancake House brand, is bringing their sweet and savory waffle creations to Elmhurst in the coming weeks in collaboration with Brew Point Coffee's founders location at 124 West Park. Their official opening is scheduled for Halloween, though if you are at Brew Point in the next few weeks, you may see Waffle Iron there doing a soft launch. Last but not least, the Uptown Eatery is currently building out their restaurant at 117 North Addison. The menu will feature unique burgers, sandwich options, salads, and a fresh take on appetizers, as well as the beloved Pizza Palace pizza as a way to honor their predecessor in the space. They hope to be open before the holiday season. I promise I'm wrapping up. I know I always go long. So as I wrap up, I want to once again ask each of you in the Elmhurst community at large to please continue to support local businesses. Remember, many of our businesses are still unable to operate at full capacity, and many fear that rising COVID-19 levels in Illinois, and Region 8 specifically, will lead to mitigation efforts that will reduce business operations even further in the coming days and weeks. Cold weather alone has already begun to affect our business community. Please think local first. As always, if you want to stay informed on economic development, I encourage you to please sign up for the city's e-news blast, check out the Front Porch newsletter, and follow Elmhurst on social media. You can also contact me directly at any time. Thank you.
Always nice to hear a positive report during these difficult times. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Jason while we have her? Alderman Bram.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron, Jim, Mike, for pulling this presentation together. I appreciate it, especially as the mayor just stated during these difficult times. I've received, especially as of late, especially since the start of COVID, what is the, I guess, economic status of not only our downtown, but our city as a whole. I know that you stated that, I think I copied the number down right, 34,600 square feet of retail space. I didn't hear, and if you know this, what are the vacancy rates for the central business district or downtown, and as well as citywide?
So the first is the 34,600 square feet. That's first floor retail in the downtown, so the city center business district. Office-wise, first floor, it's 11,665,000 square feet. The majority of that is Maddox Douglas, which is over 10,000 square feet of space, and they have been working remotely since March. They had already been downsizing over the last few years and have decided to fully divest themselves of having like a home office. So that's our largest piece there. Retail-wise, citywide, it's 131,000 square feet, and that includes significant properties at Elmhurst Crossing, as well as kind of onesie-twosies as you go through the city. This is not in any way, shape, or form what I would consider like a calamity number. We are in very, very good shape, especially compared to the rest of the Chicagoland region.
Thank you. Do you know percentages, how that relates to the overall retail as well as office space?
We do not have a full count. That's something that we have put in budgets and kind of move around of full square footage that we have completely. Like when you start counting industrial and little onesie-twosie offices. So I do not have like a percentage overall, but it's much healthier than what the number may suggest.
The reason why I ask, in past years, and it might have even been last year, we were below 5% vacancy rate. I don't know if that was citywide or
So that's
CBD.
industrial. So to industrial point, I could say that, yes, we are actually below 4% in industrial right now.
But we don't know for,
I couldn't tell you the exact number off the top of my head right now, but we maintain a low vacancy in industrial.
but we don't know for retail nor office space, percentage-wise.
Because we do not have a full count citywide of all the space.
Okay. My other question is in regards to office space. I think COVID brought to light on some challenges and actually maybe some overall benefits for businesses on how they do business day to day. And what I mean by that is it seems like with everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people being able to, due to COVID, telecommute from home and not go into the physical workspace, that the future of office space need may be changing, not only temporarily, but permanently. Is there any insight on how that may or may not affect Elmhurst and what we should or could be doing to plan for maybe a permanent change in the need for office space altogether?
Sure. Nothing that I could tell you concrete, this is going to happen for sure, but in talking with our office brokers who work the Chicagoland region, it is considered a very high possibility, and we are seeing the outreach right now of Chicago offices, large Chicago offices who are looking for satellite offices in the suburbs, and Elmhurst is at the top of those lists from all the brokers that we've spoken to. So we are seeing that activity right now. In terms of what we have right now kind of morphing, we've heard from several other office groups that are in town right now that they're still considering what does it look like for us in 6 months. But they have, in most cases, 2 to 3 years left on their leases, so they're trying to figure that out. It's kind of a puzzle piece, and nobody really knows day to day where we're at with this, so they're still figuring that out.
Thank you, because I mean, just from my novice opinion, I would think office space need, not talking specifically to Elmhurst, but overall, would be much less than prior to COVID due to people being able to telecommute from home and maybe reducing the need for businesses to occupy as much office space, not eliminating it altogether, but as much office space as they do today. So I look forward to kind of seeing on how that pans out specifically for Elmhurst. No other questions. Thank you very much for the overall presentation. I am happy to see new businesses opening up, especially in these times, very trying and difficult times. So it's good to see businesses expanding as well as opening up.
Thank you.
Alderman Dunn, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question on our car dealers. Can you give us an update on how they've performed this year? I know April and May were not so good, but I heard some of them had a record June. We actually contributed to that by buying a car in June here in town. But just wondering how the rest of the year has fared for our car dealers.
Absolutely, Alderman. I also purchased a car this year in Elmhurst, of course, in July. And I can tell you from what we've been told, you are correct, June, July, August, these were all very high months for the majority of our car dealers. They don't know, and it was too soon to predict. Last check-in that I had about 3 weeks ago with 2 of the car dealers, if this is going to be sustainable with these really high numbers of sales. What they're seeing is some market buildup from the months that they were slow, and now they're just kind of a waiting game to see, is this going to continue to be high numbers or just stabilize at kind of expected numbers. One area where our car dealers are seeing a great resurgence is in their service. Their service departments were lock and key, dead quiet for about 2 months, and it's like someone turned on the light switch and everybody lined up. It's similar to our community development department with home repair permits. You know, people are at home. After a while, people were cooped up and they wanted to go out in their car again, and suddenly it was like, let's soup this up a little bit. Let's change things up. This noise that's been rattling for the last 9 months, let's finally get that checked out before we drive across the country. So we are seeing some positive movement there.
Alderman Toledo.
Thank you. I would be curious if you have any either anecdotal or if data is available. I'm sure specific data is not available, but regarding any of the federal programs that have been provided to businesses, either the PPP loan program, I know Small Business Association, any anecdotal evidence about has that been effective for any of our businesses in Elmhurst specifically, maybe DuPage County a little bit more broadly, in your experience, in your talk?
So anecdotally, absolutely, the PPP program and the EIDL loans were imperative for business survival for many of our businesses. Since those funds kind of stopped flowing in late August, we've been, for no lack of better term, on high alert because we knew that some people were just making it because of that loan program. So many are waiting to see if there's another federal program that's given out. They would definitely use that assistance. We have seen, in terms of state grants, there was the state big grant. That priority is for disinvested areas. We are not one. I think we have like one very minute, less than a quarter-mile area that's considered on their map. However, we did have 3 businesses in town. Christopher's Restaurant was one that received it. That was a $10,000 grant for them. And they actually did not reopen until after they received that grant. They said that was a lifeline for them. That helped them and their family. So we are seeing that some of those programs are just the vitalness of those programs. Reinvest DuPage is a lot slower on announcing their grants. Like, they had best intentions to be like, within 2 weeks you'll know. And many of our businesses who applied for that are just kind of in a holding pattern right now. But we do know that the grant programs are vital for so many of them.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Alderman Brennan.
What?
Alderman Brennan, did you have your hand up?
Alderman Brennan, then I'll go to Alderman Braham.
Thank you. Aaron, great update. You had mentioned Mariano's, and I thought you had mentioned gas pumps. Did I hear that correctly? Could you
did.
expand on that?
So it is on board docs if you want to check out the renderings. They've gone through the PUD process and have applied for the zoning process now to begin to put a gas station at the northeast corner of Crestview and York, which is right now that gravel lot like across from the Brew Point Roastery. So they are looking to do that. Majority of their gas stations are on site with their grocery store. This is one of their first that they would have somewhat off site, even though it's in proximity.
Alderman Braham, you had your hand up.
Thank you. Yeah, one other question came to mind as Alderman Dunn asked his questions about the car dealerships, and I know we can't speak to individual businesses specifically, but over my time as Alderman, I've been told that car dealerships is one of the, if not the top sales tax generating business industry for the city of Elmhurst. Could you, if you know this, verify or deny if that is an accurate statement, and what are the top 3 sales tax generating businesses? Again, not a specific business name, but the industry itself.
Can I defer to the city manager for that, please?
Okay. First, I was going to ask if you want me to swear her under oath, Alderman. But,
Yes, please.
I'm going to let city manager tackle that question.
Thank you, Mayor. Alderman, I appreciate your question, but as you indicated, we are under a confidentiality agreement with the state to exact producers of sales tax. Consistently, our car dealers are in certainly the top 10, if not the top 5 sales tax producers in town. I can tell you that number 1 is not one of our car dealers.
Yeah, I was speaking more broadly, not a specific business, just the industry. So car dealerships, as the example, do they bring in the most amount of sales tax for the city of Elmhurst? Not one out of that industry, but the industry as a whole.
I got you. So yes, as combined, they do provide the number 1 sales tax amount in the city, combined, yes.
Do we know the other industries, like any other top?
The next highest, I believe, is, I wouldn't call it retail, but it is industrial sales.
Thanks.
Any additional questions for Ms. Jason? Thank you so much, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, that concludes agenda item 4.4. On to agenda item 5, public forum. This is an opportunity for anybody in the audience to address the council on any item they so choose. We ask that you direct your comments to the chair once you've been identified. We ask you to make your way over to the microphone, which is not where it's supposed to be.
I think
That's the one Aaron was using?
at this point.
We'll leave it there for now. We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Out of respect for the work that we need to get done here this evening and respect for others who may want to speak, we ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. Clerk Tamer, do we have anybody signed up?
Quad Pogwash?
I just saw Mr. Pagash lead, did I not?
You did.
Mr. Kopp's going to check. I don't think we have our auxiliary thing open this time for that either, right?
Do not. You want to check if there's
And I don't
anybody on the
think,
phone?
is anybody online? for
He's
public
gone,
comment?
okay, and then we do have the phone, the dial-in. Is there anybody who is dialed in for public comment? Mr. Kopp?
They would be ready.
Did anybody pre-sign up? Do we do that still?
We do, and no one signed
No one
up.
signed up. Okay. So the one person who signed up has left the meeting. Nobody pre-signed up, and nobody is on the phone. Is there anybody else who did not have an opportunity through any of those avenues but still wants to address the council? Is there anybody else? Does not look like it. Okay. That's going to wrap up public forum. We're going to go on to agenda item 6, announcements. Any announcements from the dais? Clerk Tamer.
I just want to say that early voting has begun at City Hall starting today and goes through October 31st. Hours Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 7, 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., Saturdays 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. City staff has a great plan of health and safety for all voters. For the specifics on that, you can go to our city website at elmhurst.org.
Okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will go on to consent agenda at this time. Is there anybody, any alderman, who wishes to have any item removed for the consent agenda to provide further comment or vote no? Alderman Bram.
7.5 and 7.11.
5, 7.5, 7.11. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items 7.5 and 7.11. Motion by Alderman Toledo, second by Alderman Levin. Clerk Tamer, please call the vote.
Kennedy?
Aye.
Honquist?
Aye.
Brennan?
Aye.
Mulliner? Absent. Jaeger?
Aye.
Karimis,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Toledo,
Aye.
Park, absent, Levin. 10 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent, 1 vacancy.
10 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. Consent agenda minus items 7.5 and 7.11 is approved. On to agenda item 7.5. This is a report out of Public Works. I would ask Clerk Tamer to read the recommendation.
It is therefore the recommendation of the Public Works and Building Committee that the city attorney be authorized to prepare the appropriate documents approving the required funding agreement with IDOT as required by the ITEP grant requirements for the Illinois Route 83 pedestrian bicycle bridge project. Furthermore, in the interest of meeting IDOT's timeline for the ITEP grant application, the committee recommends that the city council suspend with the rules to allow approval of said documents at the same meeting. Signed, Jim Kennedy, Chair, Mike Brennan, Vice Chair, and Alderman Brian Cahill.
Okay, to put this before council, I'll ask for a motion to approve the report and recommendation as read. Motion by Alderman Kennedy, second by Alderman Brennan. Alderman Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will defer to Alderman Bram, who pulled the report.
Alderman Bram, you pulled this report. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to I spoke to this when it was presented at budget time. I believe I spoke to it since as well. I wholeheartedly agree with going for and hopefully always getting grant dollars, which is what this is stated. My concern, though, as I communicated during the budget cycle last year, is the need to do this at this time, especially since then. Obviously, there's been some economic impact due to COVID. Even prior to COVID, we were, I would say, as a budget deficit. So we have challenges to fund, as an example, our current stormwater government bonds, GO bonds. And what this would do, even though it would be great to get the grant dollars, and I would classify this as a nice to have, it would be great to have a pedestrian bridge over Route 83 for all the given reasons stated in the previous report, the budget document, et cetera. I still feel it is a nice to have, and at this time, due to the nature of our budget, due to the nature of not having funding currently for our stormwater GO bonds that have already been issued, I find it difficult to be able to justify to go out for grants and then be on the hook, if you would, for approximately, according to the budget document, $885,000 of GO bonds that we would have to issue to make this project happen over the next few years. Again, great project. I think there's other projects that would be more of a necessity than a pedestrian bridge, but not even touching that, I just think that we don't have a current funding source for current GO bonds, and we're paving the way, no pun intended, to issue more bonds for a nice-to-have project versus a critical projects like stormwater. The priority on this in the budget document was given as an A. I question on the rationale for that being such a high priority relative to other projects that we have in the city. But due to all those reasons, I cannot support this nor the I think, resolution on this agenda, nor going forward until we are able to fund the critical projects in town compared to the nice to have.
Any other comments? Alderman Dunn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to give a little background on this initiative, this has been something, this project has been in discussion for 6 years or so in conjunction with DuPage County, the DuPage Forest Preserve. We have a lot of interest and a lot of support behind it, and I'll just kind of go over some of those. We have a letter of support from DuPage County. We also have one from the DuPage Forest Preserve. The Elmhurst Bike Bicycle Club has been very outspoken in their support of the strategic importance of this project to create connectivity with the north side of Elmhurst to some very important and enjoyable green infrastructure on the west side of 83, the Salt Creek Greenway Trail. The recent Elmhurst Bike Plan speaks to the benefit of this, and this is also recognized in the 83 Corridor Plan as a area of interest, and you know that we in Elmhurst have a sustainability plan, which this certainly is very much in alignment with. The Elmhurst Park District looked at this project, was very excited about it, and in fact contributed $10,000 to the initial phase 1 study, which is almost completed. And then not to mention the 7,000 or so residents of Ward 2 and similar amounts in Ward 3 that would get to enjoy this connectivity to a great nature trail that we have such close access to on the north side, but just can't really get to it in a safe manner. So it is really a safety issue. I've seen some people trying to cross 83 at Lake on bikes. It's concerning to see that. At North Avenue, trying to get across 83 as well is really a very, very unsafe venture. To date, we have $2 million in grant funding for the project. For construction, that would be the phase 3. That's a minimum. I think there's opportunity, as we had with the Metro train station, to continue to add on other grants because of the high level of support that has been garnered for this project. It's clearly a winner. This phase 2 detailed engineering design, we have a 80% grant that we're seeking. So we are committing the 20% funding to that. That's a maximum. Again, we could get some help with that as well. If we should not get the grant, then obviously the funding wouldn't be needed. So really a key project. I think we'd be foolhardy to not move forward with it, to really allow a good portion of Elmhurst to enjoy and have access to a lot of our critical bike trails that we have nearby.
Anyone else? Alderman Bram.
Thank you. Yeah, Alderman Dunn's points are well taken, and I agree with all the points about the merits of the project. The merits of the project are there. I don't have any issue or concerns with the merits of the project. I have concern with the timing and the commitment we are making of paying for this project. Alderman Dunn mentioned that we currently already have guaranteed or committed $2 million for grant money, and that's great. According to the budget, we need $2.4 million. So at this time, as we sit here today, if we don't get that additional approximately $400,000, then that would be additional funds that the City of Elmhurst residents need to pay for. I agree that other governmental entities are all in support, but other governmental entities don't have to pay the bill at the end of the day. The City of Elmhurst residents do. And as I stated already, we don't have funding sources for current GEO bonds for our current in-progress stormwater projects. So it's not merits, is this project merited or not? I'm not saying that at all. And that seems to be the pattern when I bring this up, that I'm challenging the merits of the project. I'm not challenging the merits of the project. We don't have funding for it. We have to go out for GEO bonds if we want to make this project happen. this year, next year, the following year. So that is where I'm coming from, the funding and the priority of it at this time. Down the line, maybe we should go for initiating this project. But at this time, you know, I just don't see the funding source, and that funding source is going to be GO bonds, and we're struggling as it is. At one time, I want to say we were short $9 million discussing that in Finance Committee on how we're going to make that up. I know we're not there any longer. It's a lot less than that. But we don't have dollars to pay for something, but we're going to move forward with something that we don't have dollars to pay for. Agree with the sustainability plan. This definitely fits in there, but it's just about the funding and the priority at this time, especially we don't know on how much of an impact in the future COVID will have on our economic development here in town.
Alderman Kennedy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just clarify, this project has 3 phases, phase 1, phase 2, and then construction. We as a council decided to go forward with phase 1. That has largely been completed. It's got a little bit left to go. So what we're talking about here is phase 2, and we will only go forward with phase 2 if we get the grant funding. So that number is probably somewhere around 35,000, but again, we're not going to do that until we get the grant funding. At that point, we need to decide, do we want to go forward, and the timing around the actual construction. That too will probably be based on our ability to pay for it and how much we can get in grant funding at that time. So we are being asked to make a commitment to IDOT to be able to move forward. So if you want to look at this as a maximum out-of-pocket commitment to somewhere in the neighborhood of $35,000 to $40,000, that's what it is. We're not committing to the construction. You know, we spent phase 1, it's gone. Essentially, we get a product out of that. We're making a commitment to phase 2, and at that point, we will determine the timing and the ability to pay for that. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, no further comments, I will ask Clerk Tamer to call the vote.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Honquist,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Mulliner, absent, Deuter,
Aye.
Remus,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Graham,
No.
Palumski,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Toledo,
Aye.
Park, absent, Levin,
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 nay, 3 absent.
9 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries. Agenda item 7.5 is approved. Down to agenda item 7.11. This is an ordinance. I would ask Clerk Tamer to read the ordinance.
An ordinance extending temporary executive powers pursuant to Section 3.16 of Elmhurst Municipal Code and pursuant to 65 ILCS 5/11-1-6.
Okay, to put this before council, I'll ask for a motion to approve the ordinance as read. Motion by Alderman Levin, second by Alderman Honquist. Alderman Bram, you pulled this. Floor is yours.
Not much to add compared to previous weeks. I do not support continuing to extend. I supported the first time or two. I saw a need. I don't know how many times this was utilized. I know about a month ago it was up to 5 times, so it is not significant. As we're seeing here tonight, our current processes allows us to suspend the rules. I think that expedites things when there is a need, so I don't see a current need to continue to extend these executive powers.
Okay, any additional comments? Alderman Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Given the fact that the daily infection rate is the highest that it's been, I think it makes all the sense in the world to keep this as a tool that you can use should it be needed for the residents of Elmhurst. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Clerk Tamer.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Honquist,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Mulliner, absent, Deuter,
Aye.
Remus,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Graham,
No?
Palumski,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Toledo,
Aye.
Park, absent, Levin,
Aye.
I have 9 ayes, 1 nay, 3 absent.
9 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries. Agenda item 7.11 is approved. On to reports and recommendations of appointed and elected officials. 8.1, Mayor Morley, that's me. One thing to add on the early voting that Clerk Tamer mentioned, there is, for anybody listening, there's a different entrance. Go on our city website, there's pictures of it, but what are we calling it, the east entrance? Is that what we call it?
Sure.
We're gonna go with east entrance. But there's people to help you out, but it's not, you don't walk in the normal way. We're doing all of the sanitizing, social distancing, masks, et cetera, and sanitizing in between to make it as safe as possible. But it is handled a little bit differently, so I encourage you to go on our website to get the details. Halloween. We recently sent out our own special edition of the front porch. It's the city's top priority is the safety of the residents. We understand that not everyone may feel comfortable trick-or-treating this year. Ultimately, each resident must make that decision on whether or not to partake in Halloween activities for themselves. Our staff came up with, I think, with an absolutely creative idea to help not only the folks who don't want to participate, but also the people who do. So if you got your newsletter today, it looked like your normal front porch, but it said special edition, and when you opened it up, I bet you can figure out, if you put this in your window, then thank you, but we're not participating this year, or green, welcome. And also on the special edition newsletter are more details and safety tips about how we recommend safely handing out candy. So kudos to staff. You know, I never know what item is going to spark the residents of Elmhurst and what's going to spark questions. I have gotten more questions on this in the last 3 weeks than almost anything else. So I think it's appropriate that we've addressed all those questions and gave them a tool to use for that. Electronic recycling. We have an electronic recycling event October 24th at the Public Works Facility, 8 a.m. to noon. Details, we're doing that in cooperation with DuPage County. Details are on our website. And then finally, speaking of executive authority, I think council and the residents of Elmhurst are aware, but if not, I will reiterate. This is kind of our new normal, folks. We're kind of, the state of Illinois is monitoring infection rates, positivity rates, rolling averages, and the governor today put Region 5, I don't know if he put them completely back into 3, but he is implementing what he is calling mitigation requirements. As we get the information at City Hall, we're going to post on our website. We have a COVID tab. I encourage all residents to get as educated as they can as possible about the decisions that our governor is making and how it affects them. But another reason why I bring this up tonight is not only did he put, I think it was Region 5, which is the southern part of Illinois, he put Region 5 into this resurgence area and has implemented what I'll call mitigation measures. The other thing that's important, I think, for residents of Elmhurst to know, I certainly know the businesses know this, but he mentioned our region specifically as well. We are in Region 8, as you will recall. We're in Region 8 with Kane County and DuPage County. And if you go on the IDPH website and pull up Region 8, you will get our rolling averages for not only positivity, but hospital admissions. I think it's important that people know where that information is. I also think it's important that people digest that information. A lot of times people throw around percentages, but there's also numbers attached to those percentages. So I think it's incumbent on folks to be informed on that. That having been said, like I said, the governor kind of pointed the finger at our region and said, you might be next. You can go to IDPH also. Who else has it? Chamber or the Commerce Department also has it, of what the mitigation factors are and how they affect us, including potentially no indoor dining. So the decision hasn't been made, but the same trends that were increasing in Region 5 that the governor pointed to are the same challenges we're having in Region 8. So don't have the answers yet, but the governor said that as early as tomorrow he could be making some sort of announcement. So we'll do what we can to communicate on our end, but I would encourage residents to be as educated as they can on the topic. That's it for me, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank Erin Jason for her presentation today. As she kind of alluded to and you just spoke of, as we get information on this ever-evolving situation, Erin has been very, very good at communicating that to the business owners and the business association, so I really appreciate all the efforts that she puts in. And likewise, earlier you accepted those awards on our behalf. I really want to thank the City Council for all the support of staff. We couldn't do these projects and win these awards without that. And obviously, the awards are secondary. The great service to the community is number one. And I appreciate all the efforts that Public Works, Corey and Paul and Chris and John Jagailo was here on the water side. And, you know, frankly, everybody in Public Works that comes together to make that happen. We have a couple of events coming up. We have an electronics recycling event that we partner with the county on. That's October 24th at the Public Works Garage. That is 8 to noon in the morning. There's a list of what's accepted at the recycling event, so please point the residents to our website so they know what is and what is not accepted. Generally, televisions are not accepted without paying a fee. And we also have our free leaf pickup coming up. That's the first week in November and the first week in December, and that will be on your usual garbage day. So put all those bags and cans of leaves. When I say bags, I mean paper bags, no plastic bags. And then last, I owe the City Council a little bit of an apology because we were supposed to start our budget review tonight. As timing works out, maybe that wouldn't have been so good, but we will have that budget to you within this week, and we promise to start that review next Monday after committee meetings. So that will give early voting enough time to do what they need to do, and then we should start that around 8 o'clock. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
So Committee of the Whole, right?
Committee of the Whole, correct.
All right. Any other elected officials with a report? Seeing none, we'll go on to number 9, resolutions. 9.1, I'll ask Clerk Tamer to read the resolution.
A resolution approving the City of Elmhurst application for the Illinois Department of Transportation's Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program for grant funding for the construction of the Illinois Route 83 pedestrian bicycle bridge. See item 7.5.
Okay, to put this before council, I'll ask for a motion to approve the resolution as read. Motion by Alderman Kennedy, second by Alderman Brennan. Alderman Kennedy,
No comment, Mr. Mayor.
any other comments? Clerk Tamer, call the vote, please.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Honquist,
Aye.
Brennan,
Aye.
Mulliner, absent, Deuter,
Aye.
Verimas,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Graham,
No.
Palumski,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Toledo,
Aye.
Park, absent, Levin.
Aye.
9 ayes, 1 nay, 3 absent.
9 ayes, 1 nay, motion carries. Agenda item 9.1 is approved. On to other business. Item 10.1, any other business? I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Alderman Honquist, second by Alderman Kennedy. Clerk Tamer, roll call, please.
Kennedy,
Aye.
Honquist,
Aye.
Brennan, Mulliner, absent, Deuter,
Aye.
Verimas,
Aye.
Dunn,
Aye.
Graham,
Aye.
Palumski,
Aye.
Cahill, absent, Toledo,
Aye.
Park, absent, Levin.
Aye.
10 ayes, 0 nays, 3 absent.
10 ayes, 0 nays, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.